We are back with a brand new second channel video. Today's video we're going to be talking about what is the next steps for the Toronto Raptors in terms of their franchise. You know, obviously they took a disappointing loss in Game 6 of the Sixers, and their season is officially over. We're going to be talking about, you know, their future, what, you know, possible avenues they can take to make their team turn around and, you know, get out of that purgatory that they're in right now as a middle of the pack team. And so on and so forth. So if you guys are interested in this, you know, these type of videos, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. And give me some more teams. You know, I'm trying to do this for like a lot of these teams where I can talk about, you know, their futures, like even like the Hawks who just got eliminated, like all the 8 teams in the first round that got eliminated. I will be trying to make a video about. But today's about the Raptors. Today's about the Raptors because I'm really intrigued. I'm really intrigued by that team. So leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below as usual. Let's get right into it. So the Toronto Raptors, like I said, just lost to the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round. It was a tough loss in Game 6. I did, you know, expect a little more resiliency in the second half, but I thought, you know, as much criticism as Doc Rivers had gotten, he deserves a lot of credit for, you know, his game plan in the second half, which was trying to isolate James Harden onto Gary Trent Jr. And from there, the Sixers were able to win that game and eventually move on. But for the Raptors, man, I thought it was a very successful season overall, as far as how they exceeded expectations, how they drafted in, you know, Rookie of the Year, and how they have a lot of things to look forward to. A first-time All-Star in Fred VanVleet. They have a lot of decisions to make as well, though. And, you know, if you're a Toronto Raptors fan, if you're watching this video, and if I say anything that's like wrong, or like if I say anything that needs clarification, by all means, the comment section is there for you guys to clarify or, like, you know, correct me, because I'm not a Raptors expert. I obviously watch games because I like the NBA, but I don't know the in and outs of, you know, the Toronto Raptors. So if you guys are diehard Raptors fans, please, you know, use that comment section to correct anything I say that's, you know, wrong or something that's, you know, inaccurate. But yeah, like I said, I thought it was a pretty successful season for them. They really exceeded a lot of expectations. I don't think anyone expected them to be a 5 seed. Even like Raptors fans, I don't think they picked them as a 5 seed. You know, I had some people picking them as like a 7 seed, like a play-in team, is where a lot of people picked them as. Some people even had them outside the play-in. Some people had them as like a 6 seed, but a 5 seed is really impressive for the Toronto Raptors. And I really do think that they have a lot of bright young pieces for the future, but they do have some decisions to make. Now, following this loss in Game 6, I'm not, like I said, I do not know the in and outs of Toronto Raptors basketball. I do not really know which insiders are you know, reliable and which insiders are not, but I have seen this name before, so I'm assuming that this guy is pretty credible. Josh Lewenberg said that Fred VanVleet wants a max contract extension worth $116 million over the next 4 years. Now, the Raptors have a decision to make. Do they want to pay Fred VanVleet, who just got his first All-Star appearance, who is 28 years old, who's going to turn 29 in February of next year? So he just turned 28 a couple of months ago. Do they want to pay this guy a $116 million contract extension over 4 years? Or do they want to, you know, risk it and not pay him the extension? That is something they have to figure out. Personally, I've always been on the train of, you know, letting the young guys develop and giving guys like Scottie Barnes the reins, which unfortunately for me would mean trying to find trade packages for Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam. I know this might be a pretty unpopular opinion, and I know a lot of Raptors fans might be like, what? How are you going to trade our all-star, our all-NBA player in Siakam? You know, people like how are you going to include a plan for the future without these two? Well, like, it's just simply because I do not think Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam really fit the future and the direction of this team going forward. Now, obviously, they were big parts of that championship team in 2019. But I think the Raptors have a couple of directions they can go in. You know, and I think the worst place for an NBA team to be is in the middle of the pack, where you're kind of not contending, but you're not rebuilding at the same time. Now, last year they lucked out in the lottery with the 4th overall pick. I don't know how lucky they're gonna get this year. I think they're probably gonna get like a they're not going to get a lottery pick, obviously, but they're probably going to get like a 15 to 20 pick, somewhere in that range, which could still provide a good player, and with the Raptors' development history, it's probably going to be a guy who's going to be serviceable for the future. And I wouldn't be surprised if he turns out to be a good player in the future for sure. But I really don't think for the Toronto Raptors as a middle of the pack team, I don't think that's the road that they should take, because very few teams turn around from being a mediocre team to being a contender. And an example of this, is the Orlando Magic, who were middle of the pack for a long time. They made the playoffs in the bubble as the 8th seed and got fived by the Milwaukee Bucks. And I really like what they did, a couple years, or I think the year after, or I think that was last year, where they kind of blew it up. They traded Nikola Vucevic and they also traded Aaron Gordon, and they kind of, decided to go towards their youth movement, which I thought was a very good decision for them, which, obviously they're not going to be as competitive, but I think that's fine because that means you have a direction. That we saw the Portland Trailblazers do this as well. Obviously Dame is still on the roster, and we'll see what happens with him, but they're also going towards the youth movement as well. Guys like Anthony Simons, Nasir Little, these guys like Trenton Watford, have gotten more playing time. I think the Blazers are doing a really good job with that as well. I thought, the Pelicans, after, they traded Anthony Davis, they got rid of guys like the older guys like Drew Holiday, Solomon Hill, and now you're seeing the Pelicans being a young and hungry team, a feisty team for the future. Their future is bright. The only teams who, turn around from being a mediocre team to a contender, in my opinion, are the teams who are free agent destinations, like the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat in, the post-LeBron era were very, very mediocre. They had given out a lot of bad contracts in Tyler Johnson and, Hassan Whiteside, James Johnson, Kelly Olynyk. Like, these guys were on atrocious contracts. They were kind of in that stage where LeBron had left. It was an aging Wade. Bosh had, unfortunately had to retire because of blood clots, but it was an aging Wade who left, came back. It was kind of his farewell tour. There wasn't really a direction, and a lot of people were like, how is this team going to get out of this purgatory? Are they just going to be, stuck as a middle of the pack team? But the year that the Miami Heat turned it around was when Jimmy Butler came, and that was a free agent acquisition. Obviously it was a sign and trade, but Jimmy Butler chose to go to the Heat, and they developed Bam, Tyler Hero they drafted. They found undrafted gems like Duncan Robinson, and this year Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, and attracted guys like Kyle Lowry and PJ Tucker as well to come to their team. Unfortunately, the Raptors are not the same free agent destination as the Heat and other teams are, like the Lakers and the Knicks are. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do it that way, which is why I think their best avenue might be to have to blow it up. Not completely, but try to explore options for either Siakam or Fred VanVleet while their values are both high. I don't know if you want to give Fred VanVleet that much money. You have a very nice core in Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa. Those four going forward are good pieces to build around. You draft whoever you have, with your middle of the first round pick between 15 and 20, which is what I think they'll end up with. I'm not sure exactly. I know it's already set because after 14 the picks are kind of just dependent on records, but I just don't know off the top of my head what number pick do they have, but it's probably between 15 and 20 somewhere. So you draft whoever you take with those picks, and you go from there, because I think you have to give Scotty Barnes the reins, because he is the rookie of the year. He has the potential to be the face of the franchise. His ceiling is higher than Fred's and Siakam's. He could be like an all-star next year if you gave him more shots. He'll gain more experience by getting a heavier workload of shots every year. And you should, I think, build around Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr., Precious Achiuwa, and OG Anunoby. And I think you should try to explore trades for Fred and Siakam. Look, Siakam was really, really good this year in the regular season, and he was an All-NBA player by a lot of people's metrics and standards. But in the playoffs, it's been really tough with Siakam to win as a guy who's gonna do too much. It was successful in 2019 because he was kind of like an uncommon name. Not a lot of people knew about him, and Kawhi Leonard being there kind of took a lot of pressure off of him. This season, And especially in the playoffs with Fred VanVleet being out for a couple of games, he was forced to be like a number one option. And I've never thought of Siakam as a number one option, like never. So I really don't think that role suits him. I think, as long as you have Siakam being a go-to guy, I don't think this team is going to be as successful as it should be. And that's no disrespect to Pascal. I think he's a very unorthodox player. He has a unique bag. He has a unique bag. He has a unique, skill set. But I think that as long as he is a guy that's your number one option, I really don't know about this team moving forward, because I really don't think he's that guy. I've seen a lot of people say they want Rudy Gobert to the Raptors. I wouldn't be mad at that. But then, if you're going to get a guy like Rudy Gobert, then I would for sure say keep Fred VanVleet and keep Siakam as well, because Rudy Gobert is not really the youngest player by any means as well. So you could go two directions, man. The direction that I would go with is by doing it through the draft and by building around your young assets. That's the direction I would go with. Not by free agent destinations. Not by attracting free agents. And who knows? If you trade Fred and Siakam for a nice young package, that's even more pieces for your youth movement down the line as well. So I really, really think that the Toronto Raptors should build around Scottie, Gary Trent, OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa. If you want Rudy Gobert, you'll probably have to trade OG Anunoby, because I think that's what the Jazz would like. They need a lot of wing defense right now. And the next thing they have to do is build a bench for sure. Off the bench, they don't really have any scoring like that. Maybe that's who they target in the draft, a bucket getter like a Malachi Branham or a Jaden Hardy if he falls. Maybe a catch and shoot guy like Ochai Agbaji. We'll see who they like in the draft, but I really don't think that Fred VanVleet is that good of a floor general and that efficient for him to, because he's kind of inconsistent with his efficiency, for him to warrant $116 million over 4 years when he's going to be 32, when this team is not really a contender right now. So I don't know if you want to take that risk. So if I'm the Toronto Raptors, I'm building around Scottie, I'm building around Gary Trent Jr., I'm building around OG, I'm building around Precious, and I'm building around whoever you guys select in the draft. And that's my avenue for this team to get back to that level in 2019. Scottie Barnes is special, man. I've watched Scottie Barnes since high school, high school. Before he went to Montverde, actually, Cardinal Newman was when I started watching Scottie, because I'm from Florida, and Scottie Barnes is a household name in South Florida. So he's special, man. He's the future. He's definitely the future. So you got one in there for sure, Rookie of the Year. So that is what I have to say about the Toronto Raptors. If you guys disagree, it's fine. Just do not come at my head. Be civil as always. And yeah, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. I'll see y'all later as always, man. Peace.